In the heart of Birmingham, at the Vox Centre, would you believe February, it might be the month for Valentine and pure love, but in terms of business, it doesn't come any better than that. Of course, we've got the Metro Mayor, Andy Street, for the West Midlands. What a great honour and privilege to see you here at the Signature Event 2023.
Oh no, the honour and privilege is mine to come along and support the events. And wonderful crowd here tonight.
And what a great speech it's been so far. You're the champion when it comes to business and commerce. But what's so important about and different about these signature events and your connection and your partnership with Ninda Johal?
Oh well, I've been coming along to these since I first stood for mayor. Actually, I always tried to do it because I admire Ninda as the sort of spokesman leader of the business community. He doesn't just put on a party; he understands and he celebrates entrepreneurs because he is one, and therefore he can recognise that in others as well.
The last 2-3 years we had the pandemic. That was just a life changer, of course, and it's so nice to see almost 600 people from all walks of business and commerce, and of course you also just a key person here in the heart of the Midlands when you are championing business. The question I need to ask you, first of all, before we do anything else, is HS2 can actually happen?
Yeah, HS2 will happen. Oddly enough, I was with the Rail Minister only yesterday, so there is hot information. And you know, the Chancellor was very clear on this as well. He said, we are really proud that this government is building this. And I agree with that. And so it will go from Curzon Street to London. Now, to be fair, there is a little issue about when it will get to Euston, but it will open as soon as is humanly possible from Curzon Street to Old Oak Common and then to London. They're also very clear it will go to Manchester and indeed to Nottingham.
And does Euston seem to be a sticking point at the moment?
Anyone can see. Just go and look at the construction works. It's going great guns here in Birmingham and indeed at interchange in Solihull and all down the line. But you just see the Euston site and see it's going more slowly. So I think a good decision is to say, right, we're going to get on quickly to open what we can as a sort of almost like a contained piece of it, and then Euston can be added a little later. That's how they did HS1, by the way. It went to Waterloo for years before the terminus at King's Cross was sorted out.
If anybody knows anything about business, they know that you're not your typical 9-to-5 Monday to Friday man. You actually go out there and you bat for the West Midlands. Andy, what else is actually happening? What's cooking in Birmingham at the moment?
Well, it depends whether you're talking about a business perspective or, of course, a political perspective. From my point of view, perhaps the single biggest thing that's happening is we're in negotiations with government over what we call our Trailblazer devolution deal. Can sound very boring, yawn, but it's actually about more powers over inward investment, over innovation, over energy, skills, transport, housing, and I suspect most business people will say one of those things affects them, and it's about us being more in control of our own destiny, not to use the words that became slightly famous, the begging bowl out to London, asking them for permission. So we hope to conclude that very shortly. Well,
let's come on to it was interesting because you alluded to politics, but it is a little bit political where we see a lot of the funds going to the northwest and the southeast, but drips and drabs coming into the Midlands.
So the Levelling Up Fund, that was a huge disappointment. We just got 2 successful bids, and that's not right. And I called it out on behalf of the region, as I should do. But actually, you know what? The money's tiny overall. So we were talking about £20 million, which yes matters to a community. It mattered to Erdington or Northfield or wherever else, and to Bilston and to areas across Dudley. Nothing for Dudley. So of course it matters. But compared to what you can get if devolution deals are done properly, where we've had about £4.5 billion over the last 5 years, it actually pales into insignificance. And that's why we've got our eye on the main prize.
You attend a lot of black tie events, and today's no exception. What's a standout for you when it comes to Ninda Johal and the signature brand and the natural events?
Well, actually, his own speech is always something.
Isn't it just?
It is. I'll tell you this. Some would say I'm quite a self-confident person. I'm always very happy doing my speech. But actually, I always have a little bit of flutter here because I'm following Ninda. He is genuinely an original thinker, and his speech always gets other people to think. So that's actually very special to be able to do that.
And how long have you had that kind of special relationship with Ninda?
Well, I got to know Ninda when I was LEP chair for Birmingham and Solihull, which was back in about 2011, and he was vice chair of the Black Country LEP. So I've known him for about 11 years now, and that's always been the case. He's a very thoughtful man.
Cost of living crisis 2023, of course, we've seen the rise of 10 consecutive interest rates. It doesn't look very good. I don't want to be the bearer of doom and gloom. But if there's young entrepreneurs, budding entrepreneurs listening, and you are the man when it comes to business, what would your advice to be, or him and her?
it's a very interesting question, that, because remember, I was the boss of John Lewis
through
the financial crisis.
Yes.
And everyone said, it's going to be a disaster for John Lewis. You're a top-end retailer, people haven't got any money, ergo. And I said, you know what? In adversity, there are still opportunities. So I'm not denying how difficult it is for many people, but there are still business opportunities. So my advice to any young entrepreneur would be, concentrate on the idea. If the idea is brilliant, it will cut through, however tough the market.
The Birmingham skyline is changing. We know there's more race developments, but when it comes to commercial retail units, we know there's a lot of vacancies.
A lot of vacancies, yeah.
Why is that?
So why? Because retail's changing, and we can't put that back in the box. I'm afraid the genie's out the bottle. But physical retailer is not dead. If we just take Solihull, Touchwood is hugely successful, and if we take Birmingham, you've got Selfridges, you've got Primark, you have got Sports Direct, who are the best in class. Fantastic physical retailers. New brands coming in all the time. But you are right. The retail footprint as a whole is shrinking, and you can see that. And therefore, you've got to think about new uses of the city. People want leisure. They want inspiration. They want great food. And the good thing is, our cities will change to do that. And somewhere as dynamic as Birmingham will embody that.
Andy, what's your exit strategy when you do leave this post? What's your leisure time plan like? What's your diary plan like?
I'm not intending to leave this post, but my leisure time wouldn't change. I think if I were to suddenly not be in this post, I would do what I always do. I'd go to Wales, sit up the top of a mountain or on the beach on the Cambrian coast and just take it in.
And that's something else we need to champion, of course. Some great parts in the UK. Staycation seems to be a big part now.
And you know what? Staycations can be in cities and towns as well. And we've got to get the tourist message out. Or some of the rural areas of the West Midlands. I mean, really, really important. A tourist dollar or pound, so important. But as you say, there are occasions you just want to go somewhere different.
Andy Street, Metro Mayor for West Midlands, thank you so much for taking your time to speak to me.
My pleasure.
Thank you.